So what first, my slide is visible, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So factor analysis. So what do you know by know about factor analysis? What is the meaning of that factor analysis? Can anyone tell me that? If you have any
Yeah, like
idea.
we are grouping the variables into factors, something like that.
Kind of grouping the variables into factors. Yeah, kind of, you can say. So the main point is that in factor analysis, what we generally do, we have if you have designed any questionnaire for your any project, have you designed it? Like, do you have experience about how to make the questionnaire and all? I guess you all have done it
Yes.
in your marketing project or your economics project. So there, suppose we're taking different variables. Take one example. Uh, let's say one example is uh, online shopping. Okay, so there will be several variables regarding online shopping, right? We want to check how much customers are satisfied with the online shopping. So we'll consider several variables and we'll ask them. We'll put it in the questionnaire and we'll ask them to rank accordingly. Okay, there will be like Likert scale will be there, 5 point Likert scale. So which factor or I rather say which variable is really important for that particular individual who is responding to the questionnaire. So which factor is important or which variable is important, he or she will rank accordingly. Okay. Suppose I am saying that for you might be the delivery time is very much important. Like today I am placing the order, I want the delivery within 2 days. Okay. So for that, how much I have to charge, that will not bother me. If the price is like 400 for a particular product and they are asking 100 rupees for delivery charges for within 2 days, I am ready to pay that because I want the delivery in 2 days. For some of you that they want the product, only the product, not delivery time is not important. So they place the order and they will wait how much time, like the general delivery time, how much it will take. They will wait for the delivery. Are you getting my point? So they will rank the question, rank that particular variable accordingly. So suppose I'm asking someone, uh, delivery time is important for you. You have to rank it in a scale of 1 to 5. So for that guy who wants the delivery in 5 days, sorry, in 2 days, he'll rank it as 5, suppose. And for someone who is like very much conscious about the money, okay, he or she will rank that as 1 or 2. Getting my point? So like that, there will be several variables, and if we want to check the customer satisfaction, so what we'll do, which factor is actually impacting the customer satisfaction, or which variable is actually impacting the customer satisfaction, that we can understand right from here. Suppose we have taken 10 variables into consideration for analyzing the online shopping criteria, and from the 10 variables, actually how many variables are impacting more, so that we can understand from factor analysis. Is it clear to everyone?
Yes.
Sir, can you repeat once? I am getting stuck.
Sorry,
Can you repeat this once?
which one you want me to repeat?
That right now you spoke now regarding that questionnaire and variables wala. That one only.
I was saying that if I have taken 10 variables into consideration for checking the customer satisfaction, so in factor analysis will help me to understand among the 10 variables, which are the variables that is explaining the customer satisfaction more. Are you getting?
Okay.
Suppose among the 10 variables, I find that the I find three variables are actually impacting more. Three variables are explaining 70% customer satisfaction. Okay, and rest other 7 variables, they are actually explaining 30%. Okay, so I as a researcher can work with those three variables only. if I'm satisfied with the 70% result. So I, as a researcher, as a market researcher, I can work with those three variables. I can eliminate those remaining 7 variables. Okay, are you getting?
Yeah, got it, sir.
Yeah,
Those three are highly correlated to each other, we can say.
highly impacting my objective
Yeah, yeah.
in layman terms. So, yeah.
Okay.
So factor analysis in general, how do I define factor analysis? It's a technique of factor reduction or variable reduction. We're actually reducing the variable, right? Generally, we are taking 10 variables into consideration. After that, we find that 3 variables are explaining 70%. So we're actually reducing the number of variables. Okay. So it's factor analysis helps in factor reduction in general term. Any doubt in that?
No.
You can see here it's written factor analysis is a general name of denoting a class of procedure primarily used for data reduction and summarization. Okay. Factor analysis is an interdependence technique in that an entire set of independent relationship is examined and without making the distinct between dependent and independent variables. So there will be no difference between the variables. All the variables will be taken into consideration. Right. Next is factor analysis is used in what circumstances. So to identify the underlying dimensions or factors that explain the correlation among a set of variables that I have already told. The 70% objective is defined is explained by the 3 variables. So the first point is actually explaining that one that I was talking about. Next is to identify a smaller set of silent variables from a large set for use in subsequent multivariate analysis. So initially I was dealing with 10 variables. Now I'm getting 3 factors. Okay, so I'll be proceeding my further analysis with those 3 factors. So I am actually reducing the data analysis, like the process of data analysis, right? Dealing with 10 variables and dealing with 3 factors, which one is more easy? Obviously dealing with less
Yeah.
number of, yeah, less number of factors. Okay, so there are mainly 2 types of factor analysis. There are actually several types, but we'll be taking into consideration only 2 types, that is exploratory factor analysis and confirmatory factor analysis. Okay, so any idea about these 2 terms, exploratory and confirmatory?
Yeah, like exploratory is the one in which like the factors are automatically generated, and confirmatory maybe like we have to manually like do the.
Confirmatory is predefined variable. You know that what are the variable. But in exploratory, we don't know. We just explore different variable.
Yeah, you are saying right, but let's talk something in a statistical way. Okay, so in exploratory factor analysis, what we say that is the type of factor analysis in which researcher actually do not have idea about how many factors that will generate from a particular number of variables. Suppose I was talking about 10 variables, right? And I was talking about from 10 variables, I'm taking 3 factors. Okay. So initially I am feeding those 10 variables into a system for running the factor analysis. And the researcher in exploratory factor analysis, what actually works that researcher doesn't know that how many factors will be there will be the result of those 10 variables. Are you getting? So after analyzing those 10 variables into factor analysis, I'm getting 3 factors. So that is totally exploratory factor analysis. And in confirmatory, what we'll do, we already know how many factors will be there, or we actually want to get particular number of factors from a particular number of variables. Suppose from these 10 variables, I want 3 factors. So I'm already feeding the system that I want 3 variables. I want 3 factors. So while running the factor analysis, I'm already feeding that into the system. I want 3 factors, not more than that. So that is confirmatory factor analysis. Clear to everyone? Any doubt?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So there are some statistical. You want to ask something?
Yes, sir. I was telling that in case of exploratory, you mean to say
Can
that
you be please? Can you be loud?
yeah. I was telling that in exploratory, you mean to say that from the given variable, we are not knowing that how much the value will be generated, right? In case of
Yeah, that will
exploratory.
be the factors will be generated by the systems only.
Okay. In case of confirmatory means we have we everything is decided that we have who only generate three variables and three factors, right? When
Yeah,
while running
yeah,
the system, only this is the difference.
yes.
Okay, fine.
So next is there are some statistics term associated in the factor analysis. So we'll see that. First is let me know, have you heard of this term? Bartlett's test of sphericity. Have you heard this?
In our class.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Next one is Kaiser Meyer Olkin or KMO. We used to say that. Have you heard these two terms?
Yes.
Okay. So what is the Bartlett's test of sphericity? So we'll run the factor analysis in the system, and what Bartlett's test of sphericity shows that what is written here. Bartlett's test is an indication of strength of relationship among the variables. So what are the variables we are taking into consideration for factor analysis? So it will indicate the strength of relationship among those variables. This test that you need to remember this one. This test that null hypothesis, that is the correlation matrix, is the identical matrix. This one they might ask in your MCQ. What is the null hypothesis for Bartlett's test of sphericity? Okay. The null hypothesis, correlation matrix, what will be generated by running the factor analysis. That is the identical matrix. What do you mean by identical? Or the identity matrix? Anyone have any idea?
The diagonal elements are equal to 1.
Yeah, diagonal elements are equal to 1. It's written here actually. So our aim is to an identity matrix is a matrix in which all of the diagonal elements are 1 and all of those diagonal elements are close to 0. 1 second. Yeah, off diagonal elements are close to 0. So other than diagonal elements means what are the other elements? They are close to 0. Are you getting? So we have already discussed during that regression analysis. In regression analysis also we got one correlation table, right? If the correlation value is greater than 0.8, we say that there is a multicollinearity present. Can you remember that? The regression we was regression and correlation regression. In the correlation table we use this logic. When the correlation value is greater than 0.8, then there is a high chance of multicollinearity between the variables. So the relation should be close to 0. That will be very good for the analysis. That's variables are very good for the analysis. Okay. So here our aim is to we want to reject the null hypothesis in Bartlett's test of sphericity. Okay. So next is Kaiser-Meyer-Olkin or KMO value. The KMO measures the sampling adequacy. What the meaning of sampling adequacy, which determines if the response given within the sample are adequate or not. Okay. This is what sample adequacy means. Which should be close to 0, close than 0. There is a grammatical mistake in the sentence. So close to 0 for a satisfactory factor analysis. So it should be close to 0. Okay. Sorry, it's close to 0.5. Okay. So it is recommended by the researcher that the name of the researcher is Kaiser. So he recommended that the value should be 0.5, then only we'll accept that. Okay, between 0.7 to 0.8 it is acceptable, and value above 9.9, that is you have the super value. Okay, so next we'll see that this is one output after running the factor analysis. This one output we are getting how much? Casimir value I'm getting 0.56, right? It's more than 0.5, so you can say it is acceptable, correct? And see this Bartlett's test of periodicity, the significance value is almost 0. So what is that? Significance means what? This is a p-value, right? The p-value is 0, and alpha value, if we take, suppose we are assuming alpha value is 0.05, so alpha greater than p. That means what? We're rejecting h naught. So in the theory what I was talking about, we want to reject the null hypothesis here. Okay, so this is what we are actually rejecting. So this factor analysis what I have run here for the output, that is actually good for the model, right? Clear everyone till now? Any doubt till now? No doubt.
Like anything above 0.5 is acceptable in that KMO.
Yeah. Kaiser is a researcher by whose name that Kaiser Meyer test we are actually doing. So he suggests that the value greater than 0.5 is actually acceptable. We can accept that. So I am running the factor analysis. So this factor analysis actually good. Like if you're doing some analysis, that should have some objective, right? We
This
simply
is
can't do
what we
factor
do.
analysis.
And if we talk about that Bartlett test, so how we check that this is good or not?
Bartlett's test is that this is with respect to the alpha value, alpha and p value approach, that one. This is the p value, right? Bartlett's test of periodicity, I'm getting the p value is 0.000, that is almost 0, and I'm assuming alpha value is 0.05. So alpha greater than p, that means what? Reject h naught. And in the theory what I was talking about, my null hypothesis, correlation matrix is an identity matrix. Okay, and here we want to reject the null hypothesis. So alpha greater than p means what? We are rejecting null hypothesis. So my analysis is good here. So whatever I'm doing the factor analysis, that is actually perfect. Correct?
Okay.
Yeah, let's do one thing. Yeah, I'll finish that one first. Then we'll go back to that Excel sheet. Next is another few terms you have heard about this one, I guess. Commonality, eigenvalue, then factor loading, then factor score, and then scree plot. So commonality means what? Let me go to that. Yeah. So this is I'm getting how many factors here? Five factors. How many variables I have? Can you please count that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I've taken 14 variables into consideration. After that, I'm getting 5 factors. Okay. So commonality actually is regarding to a particular variable, and eigenvalue is regarding to a particular factor, right? Let's go back to the slide. Commonality is the amount of variance a variable share with all the other variables being considered. So what I was talking about, commonality is regarding to a particular variable. Okay. This is also the proportion of variance explained by the common factors. So how do we calculate commonality? Manually, if we want to calculate commonality, how do we do that? If I'm giving you this table and I am asking you to calculate commonality for, suppose this one, goal score, this is a variable. I'm asking you to calculate the commonality for the variable goal score. How do you calculate that?
We can like square the factors, right? like for this square the first variable, second, like in row wise we can square the things and add them.
Yeah. So if I ask you to calculate the commonality for goal scored, you have to go row wise. So goal scored, the value, the component value for factor 1, square of this one. Then component value for factor 2. Okay, square of this one, square of this one, square of this one, and square of this one. After that, you have to add it. Add all those 5 square terms. Okay, that will give you the commonality, right? And next term is the eigenvalue. So eigenvalue is in association with the factor, right? So if I ask you to calculate the eigenvalue for factor 1, how do you calculate that?
That column wise same
Yes,
thing.
column wise. So this one minus 0.103 whole square plus 0.031 whole square plus 0.266 whole square. Like that, you have to keep on doing till 0.030 whole square, and you have to add all those terms. That will give you the eigenvalue. Okay, so how many eigenvalue you can calculate from here? 5, right? 5 factors and 5 eigenvalue you will get here. And how many commonality you can calculate? There are 14 variables, so 14 commonality you can calculate here. Okay. So next one is factor loading. What is factor loading? Any doubt in that particular these two terms, commonality and eigenvalue? We'll ask you to calculate definitely.
Uh, what is eigenvector there? Like one is
Eigen,
one thing.
eigenvector.
Yeah, like in our class, like
I
faculty
don't.
told an eigenvector. So I'm confused in eigenvector. There.
I don't have idea.
Okay.
So this is how we calculate the commonality and eigenvalue, and this is the like 100%, not 100%, 200% guaranteed question in your paper. They will give that table to you, and you have to calculate commonality or an eigenvalue both. And there are 2 more calculations. I'll come to that. So 4 calculations you can do from that particular table. Okay. Next is factor loading. So factor loading are simple correlation between the variables and the factors. So factor loading actually talks about the correlation between the variable and a particular factor. So correlation, yeah, correlation table I have missed here actually. Yeah, it's not there. Yes, you got that particular term? Factor loading is simple correlation between the variable and the factor. So in correlation table, what we actually do? The correlation between two variables, right? Here what we are doing in factor loading, we are checking the correlation between a factor and a variable, right? Clear everyone? Next one is factor score. So factor score are composite score estimated for each respondent on the derived factor. So factor score, let me see here. Factor. Yeah, this is the factor score. Okay. For factor 1, this is the score. For variable 1 and variable 2, this one. Okay. So this is actually the factor score. Yeah, this is the factor score. Okay. Right. Next is Cree plot. So how many number of factors actually uh, generated after running a particular factor analysis? We can do it. We can check it from this table only. Total variance explained. This is the particular output table. So there are 14 variables, and I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 factors. 5 factors has been generated from 14 variables. So this is one approach, and this scree plot actually, this also helps to understand, and graphically we can understand how many factors is generated. Check this one. This is 1 point, this is 2 point, this is 3 point, 4, 5. So there are 5 points which is for which the eigenvalue is greater than 1. While running the factor analysis in SPSS, we always take the eigenvalue. Eigenvalue should be what? What is the eigenvalue logic?
Greater than 1.
No, less or equal 1.
Okay.
Eigenvalue should be less or equal 1. So the value for how many this is the factor, like how many times the value is more than 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So there will be 5 factors. From this scree plot only we can understand that. Graphically we can say that there will be 5 factors from 14 variables. Okay. Right? This is the logic of scree plot. Yeah, we have done that. Yeah, from this one only. See this. There are total 14 variables. So 14 variables actually explaining 100% logic. Okay. 14 variables is actually what actually computing the 100% of the analysis. Okay. But we can see from this one the percentage of variance. Percentage of variance explained by the first factor. How much? 34%. Next one is 11%. Next one is 10%. 8%, 7%. So if we check the cumulative one, so these 5 factors actually explaining 71%. Okay, are you getting my point? What I was talking initially, how I started the session. Among these 14 variables, 5 factors are actually explaining 70%. 70% of the total analysis. This is what we are doing as exploratory factor analysis method. Yeah, so next one. There are two methods actually. Factor rotation, you might have heard about this term. So if we check the factor rotation, so factor rotation helps in understanding which factor actually, which variable actually lies in which factor. So there are two approach. One is a Varimax approach, rather we say orthogonal Varimax approach, orthogonal Varimax rotation, and another one is oblique rotation. We've heard this term. Orthogonal Varimax rotation and oblique rotation.
Rotation heard, but not this oblique rotation.
Yeah, generally we use this one, Varimax rotation. In your entire process analysis, you will be doing the Varimax rotation only. So first we'll see that oblique rotation. In oblique rotation, called when the axes are not maintained in right angle. How do I show you that? One second. I have to again open the pane. One second. Yeah, can you see the screen? So suppose this one is factor 1. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, this one is factor 2, this one is factor 3, and this one is factor 4. And these are the variables. Okay. So which variables lies in which factor? How do I tell that? It's actually in the middle position. Like it can be lies in factor 1, can be lies in factor 2. So if I am confused for what I will do, I'll just rotate the factor. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll just simply rotate it, and this this axis, this one will rotate here, and this will go like that. Okay. So now I can see that this all the variables are actually near to the factor 1. So I can say these all variables are lies in factor 1. Getting my point? Okay. And this one also I am rotating. This one, this axis 2 I am also rotating. Randomly I am rotating here. For oblique rotation, there will be no angle. Angle will not be fixed. So this one, how much is the angle? This angle, how much? This is 90 degree, right? This all are 90 degree. Okay. But this angle between this new one and new two, this angle is not 90 degree. We are not rotating in a right angle. Randomly we are rotating this to understand which what are those variables are actually lying under which factor. Got it? And if that particular angle after rotation, if that particular angle is also right angle, and we are rotating in a right angle approach, then that will call as orthogonal Varimax rotation. That time we will not be rotating it randomly. Always we will rotate in 90 degree approach. Means what? If I rotate axis 1, axis 2 will also rotate, and in between axis 3 will also rotate. So always we'll keep it, we'll maintain the angle between all the 4 axes is 90 degree, right? That is the Varimax approach. Clear everyone? Clear?
We will always rotate in anti-clockwise, or it's
Sorry?
depend on us.
Depend on that, depends. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that one I have already told, right? Remember this one, this table will be given to you and they will ask you to calculate eigenvalue and commonality and another 2 terms. We'll come to that, wait. Yeah. So this is another output. Fact that is only 2 factor, factor 1 and factor 2. There are 8 items. So item means here variables. Okay. From 8 variables, we're actually getting 2 factors. So how do we calculate uh, eigenvalue? So eigenvalue of factor 1.
Standard deviation rule.
0.588 plus 0.227 whole square plus minus 227 whole square. This one. Okay. This is the commonality we will calculate. 0.588 plus whole square plus minus 0.303 whole square. Okay. This is how we will calculate the commonality. Then another term, percentage of variance. So percentage of variance, how do we calculate that? The formula is, can you see that formula? I will zoom it a little bit. Formula is eigenvalue of first factor divided by the total eigenvalue. Are you getting?
Yes, so it will be for each variable will be getting this, right?
Yes.
This is for this is the variation for first factor. So like this.
There will be 2 terms. One is percentage of variance. Another one is variability. So percentage of variance is with respect to the eigenvalue. So that will depend. That will be based on what factor. Variability is dependent on what in the formula commonality. So that is dependent on the variable. Got my point? Yeah, this formula is wrong actually. Don't copy this formula. I'll delete it. If you want to write that formula, you can write. I'll tell you the formula. That is what I was confused. I've taken it from somewhere. I've not checked it. Well, you want to write?
Yes, we are writing.
Okay. So let me write also. Yeah. So the formula will be eigenvalue divided by the number of variables here into 100. Okay. So this means what? Percentage of variance for factor 1 will be taken into consideration. Percentage of variance for factor 1. Okay. How do you calculate that? Eigenvalue factor 1. So this is the eigenvalue 2.51. 2.51. How many number of variables? 8 number of variables. So 2.51 divided by 8 into 100. Got it?
Bro, I have one doubt.
Yeah.
So in the previous slide, can you go to the previous slide? So why there is minus eigenvalue of factor 1 before minus 0.557 there is minus.
This one. This
Before
one you're
that,
talking.
before one, I mean the overall, we have to add all the variables, right?
Okay. Yeah. Here also one mistake. Yeah. Got it.
Okay.
Yes. Right. Thank you. Okay. Got it. This one. Percentage of variance, how do you calculate that? Eigenvalue divided by number of variables into 100. So variability that will be taken into consideration for a particular variable, right? Because commonality is in association with a particular variable. Suppose I'm asking you to calculate the variability for variable 1. How do you calculate the variability for variable 1? Commonality means what? 0.437 I have already calculated. Divided by number of factors. How many number of factors here? 2, right? So 0.437 divided by 2 into 100. Got it? Got it?
Now it's clear.
Sorry?
Sir,
Yeah, that is done for the
sir,
factor analysis are done.
Where we need this percentage of variance and variability?
They'll ask you to calculate that.
Okay, like in our NCPs.
Yeah.
Done.
They'll simply give you this table. This one. This one they'll give you. And from here only you can calculate these four terms. Eigenvalue, commonality, percentage of variance, and what? Variability. Okay. Got it.
sir, I have one doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, that you just now explained regarding two variables. Can you repeat that point once again?
Which one?
Two variables.
This one.
The 0.437 divided by 2, how that 2 came?
0.437 is the commonality for variable 1.
Yeah,
Then we are calculating the variability.
yeah.
So variability is the commonality of variability for variable 1 is that commonality of variable 1 divided by total number of factors into 100.
So total number of factors will be 2, right?
Yeah, that
Okay.
is what I said. No?
Yeah, actually I got confused in that. Sorry.
Okay, now clear?
Yeah, now clear.
Yeah. So we'll go to the Excel sheet. You all have that Excel sheet right now. So you can see in this one what output I was showing actually. This one, yeah. So this one, this is the output of this particular Excel sheet only. So there are few variables. One is this is a FIFA 2018 data. So date means the date of the match. This is the team and the opponent. Okay, or Russia versus Saudi Arabia. So how many goals scored? 5 goals scored total in the match. 5 goal was scored, and then another variable is ball position percentage. So this is in association with the team. Okay, ball position percentage in association with this particular team, not with the opponent. Okay, so 40% ball position was uh, been done by the team Russia. Okay, number of items 13. So there are several variables you can see. On target, how many shots, off target, how many shots, blocked, how many shots, corner how many, offsides how many, free kicks how many, right? We have almost how many variables? 26, 27, 28. Okay. So, but all the variables I can't consider for fact analysis, right? The team, date, and opponent. This is not at all relevant for conducting the fact analysis. Got my point? First, we have to understand on which variable we have to take into consideration for uh, doing the fact analysis. So I have taken goal scored, ball position, because all of these are having some relation, right? Are you getting my point?
Yes.
This we have to see manually.
Yes, you have to understand that.
Okay, okay.
How can you know that if you, is there any feature like you will feed the data set and they will tell
No, no.
you which analysis you have to do? So always you have to read the data set. That is the most difficult part for the researcher or the data analyst. This is a simple data set actually. So if you are working with some big data, that will be very difficult. Analysis is really, like running the analysis is really very easy. Like, it will take only 30 seconds. I'll feed the data into a station, I'll just click it, fact analysis. So I'll get the result within 30 seconds. So that is also like I'm saying too much. Within 10 seconds actually I'll get the answer. Okay. So suppose my here, which one is the important variable here? Goal score is the important variable, right? In a match, how many goal has been scored? So that is the important variable. So in association to that goal score, what are the variables are actually related? So a team is scoring 5 goals. Ball position is actually important for that for the team. How many items they are? Uh, how many items means what? Target, right? So out of 30 items, 5 goal has been scored. 5 was on the target or successful target, you can say. So this this one, is there any relevance of taking this one, man of the match? Is there any relevance of taking into consideration of this particular variable?
No.
Obviously no. Like number of goals scored or total number of goal in the match is actually not dependent on who is the man of the match for that particular team. This yes or no means what? Can you understand that? Man of the match, yes or no, means what? Man of the match, yes means this team, the man of the match, who is the man of the match, he is from this particular team, Russia, not from the opponent. If it is yes, got it? So now, if you have spaces, you can feed the data, or you can uh, import the data. Go to file, import data, and this is in CSV format. Click on the CSV data, and wherever you have kept the data, just go and just click it and open it. Okay, I've already here, so I'll not do that. So if you want to write the steps to how to run the factor analysis, do you want to write it? I guess if you write it, that will be best for you. You might be doing it in your SIP report. So go to analyze, then you have dimension reduction, then factor. Are you writing the steps, or I can continue?
Can you repeat the steps like from the start?
First, you have to import the data. That is clear, no?
Yes.
File, import data, and whatever you have kept the data. Check the data file format. It's in Excel format or CSV format. So mine, which one I have shared, that is in CSV format. So click on CSV data, and wherever you have kept the data, just select that and press open. Okay. Next is for analyze. After that, you will get this one. Okay. Next is you have to go to analyze. Then for factor analysis, go to dimension reduction, then factor. Then click on factor. Then there are several like all the variables, whatever the variables you have here, all will be showing here. So what are the variables you want to consider for factor analysis? You just click it and press this one. Select it and press this one. Okay, it will come here only. So I've taken 14 variables into consideration. So next I have to check after fitting all the 14 variables in this variable tab. I have to go to descriptive. So in descriptive I have to check initial solution, and I want the KMO and Bartlett test of predictability. So I have to check this one, these two. I guess this one is already checked. So check that KMO Bartlett one, then continue. Then extraction, you have to go for scree plot, and scree plot is actually important. Don't change this one. This one there are several methods. So we're generally doing the principal component analysis here. So in our next semester, next year, if you're taking market research, you will be understanding what is principal component analysis. That is not important for BA right now. So I want the scree plot, and based on the eigenvalue, I want the extraction. Okay, the extraction will be on the basis of eigenvalue, and I want to keep my eigenvalue greater than 1. Okay, got it. The scree plot, you remember that one? Greater than 1, we are actually from there only we are actually considering that how many number of factors will be there. Okay, so press continue. Then rotation, what I was talking about, that varimax rotation we want. Will this is the power button, you can press the power button. Then I want the rotated solution also. Okay, then continue. Keep other thing as it is, then continue, then score. So I want my display factor score coefficient matrix. Okay, this one I have to check it and continue. Then in options, do you know about threshold limit? So there is threshold limit. So generally we keep it at as 0.5, but I'll keep it at 0.4. Okay, it depends on the researcher which one you want to keep, like how much you want to keep for your threshold limit. So I'm taking at 0.4. So now my factor score, for which like for a particular variable factor score, whenever the factor score is greater than 0.4, greater than or equal to, that variable will lie into that that particular factor. I'll check that one. Okay, continue, then okay. Yeah, this one. So this is my KMO Bartlett. I've already shown that one. So yeah, this one, which the threshold limit value I'll show you. Yeah, see this threshold limit. So this first variable is actually lying in factor 3, right? Are you getting my point? Threshold limit were kept for how much? 0.4, right?
0.4.
Yeah. So the maximum value here, suppose I am getting, actually I'll be getting here 5 values, okay. But for which factor the maximum value will appear, for that factor only, this variable will lie into that factor only. Got it?
So what are the like 5 factors? Means they're used to scale like which is having which variable is having more factor.
Which variable is having more factor? No. This variable actually lies in this factor only.
Okay,
I
I
have
mean,
taken my
does it indicate something? If it is in 3, it is better, or if it is in 5, it is
no. It's not like that. We're actually reducing. Like previously, we started my analysis with 14 variables. Now from 14 variables, I'm actually getting 5 factors. So I'm actually reducing the analysis process. No? Dealing
okay.
with 14 variables is easier, or dealing with 5 factors is easier? Obviously 5 factors. So this 5 factor actually explaining 70% of your analysis, 71%, or let's say nearly equal to 72%. Got it?
Okay.
They should be greater than 60, right? That you are saying that 70%.
Greater than 60.
This cumulative something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Generally we do.
Yes.
Generally stop after the 60. Yes. So this one, see, this one is 0.810. So other values are actually less than 0.4. That is why it's not showing here, because I have kept my uh, threshold limit as 0.4. So remaining for factor one value, this particular component matrix or component value of this particular variable goal score. So factor 1 and factor 2, factor 4 and factor 5, the value is actually less than 0.4. That is why it's not showing here. See this one, off target, 0.610 for factor 1 and for factor 2 it's 0.420. So both the values are greater than 0.4, right? So that is why two values are showing here. Got it? See this one. You have not
Yeah.
seen it. You have not seen it, right? Otherwise, you would have asked the question. It is minus, and I have taken it 0.4. So these are taking the mod value actually. So minus 0.54 is also greater than point. If we eliminate this minus mod value one, right? So this is the simple component matrix, and after the rotation, we have applied the very much rotation, right? See this one. Rotation method is very much rotation with Kaizen normalization. So all this technical term, what is Kaizen normalization, we will get to know if we're taking market research in the next semester. What is principal component
What
analysis?
is the major change happening after rotation? Like we have both
This
metrics.
one, the values are actually changing. 0.810, it's become 0.856. Next one, see this ball position. How much was the value? 0.825, right? And it's now 0.704 for factor 2. So I can say that whichever the value is actually greater among all the five values. So I can say that this particular variable lies in this particular factor. Previously it was lying on which factor? Ball position was lying in factor 1. Right now it's lying on factor 2, right? Got it. This is what the after applying the rotation method.
What is the purpose
And
of this? If we want to
this is more accurate.
more accurate. Okay.
That is what I was saying. No? See this one, like the distance from factor 2 and this one, and the distance from here factor 1 to this one. Okay, this distance actually, you can say that this initially, if you were not applying the rotation, forget about the red line, the black line. So I can say that these variables are actually lying under factor 1. Okay, if I apply the rotation, okay, after the rotation I can clearly tell, or there will be clarity on my conclusion, right? That these variables are actually lying under factor 1. Got it?
Okay.
Bro, why did you take the threshold value as 0.4?
That is, I already told that. That is based on the research. Generally, we take it 0.5, but sometimes we take 0.4 also.
Okay, okay.
Yes. So they might ask you the question. Yeah, I'll come to that one second. So what I was talking about. Yeah, so they will give you this table, and they'll ask you, assume threshold limit is 0.5. Okay, threshold limit is 0.5, and tell me that this particular variable goal scored lies in which factor. Which one you will tell that? Threshold
Third
limit
one.
now 0.5. Yes, this is the third one. You can expect this question also.
So it's depend on our data. If our
Yes.
data like is not good, so we can choose lower value, something like this.
What value means?
Like lower value, like if our data is
Yeah,
not
yeah.
good.
No, not data. The based on the data analysis, data collection process.
Okay, data collection.
So if
Yeah.
remember that you can't simply do the analysis process in market research. Okay, so market research, like the data collection process, involves huge cost, right? So if you're simply eliminating, if I am taking that high value, suppose 0.7 I am taking, here hardly you can find that some values are greater than 0.7. So almost all the variables I'm actually removing from my analysis. So is that a suitable way? I have spent a lot for my data collection process or data acquisition process. Now, while doing the analysis, I'm removing all the variables. So that is not suitable, right? So based on the research method, or the researcher actually uh, understand what is the cost involved while in the data acquisition process, and then only they will decide the standards. This is standard, right? 0.4 I'm taking means I'm keeping it at a standard. What if?
Got it.
Yes. Nothing is there actually. So mainly you can expect 5 questions. What I right now I told, keeping the threshold limit. They will give you the threshold limit, either 0.4 or 0.5. They will give you, and they'll ask you under which factor this particular variable is actually lying. And next one is eigenvalue calculation, commodity calculation, percentage of variance, and variability calculation. Okay, and they might give you this scree plot, and they might ask you to understand how many number of factors will be there. Okay, and I guess there is no other questions you can expect. Yeah, yeah, and the process of KMO and the Bartlett's test of periodicity. Like you have to know the hypothesis and what is the conclusion of that, and what is the meaning of this particular value, Weisenmeyer value. We're actually accepting the analysis process or actually rejecting it. Okay, that's done. I'm not saving it. Next one, and this one.
Can you just tell that graph thing once more? That points are plotted on graph, no?
Yeah.
One image is there. Yeah. Here, how can the
I have
question?
I have taken. I have already shown that na eigenvalue should be greater than 1 in that SPSS process. So for which how many are there in the for which the eigenvalue is greater than 1? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 points, right? 5 variables. So there will be 5 factors. From here only I can conclude. Simple. It's simple. Very simple.
If the point is at 1 only, then we will select that or not.
No, not say.
Okay, this determine the number of factors.
Yes.
Okay.
One second. You are asking if the value is on 0.1. Hello. Who was asking that?
Yeah,
What?
If the
if
value
I
is on 0.1, you have to take it, because I was saying that the value should be greater or equal to 1, right?
okay,
You have to take that value. Yeah.
okay, got it.
Yeah. Factor analysis is done. Next, we'll be talking about the cluster. So cluster, that is only few terms. So what is mean by cluster or clustering process? I'm saying another bit.
Heterogeneous to homogeneous, we can say, like we learn in marketing.
Yeah. So clustering is a process of grouping the variables in simple terms. Okay. So suppose in marketing, what we actually do in marketing analysis, the market research. Suppose you are for a particular question, I am checking the response of different person. Okay. For a particular question, I'm checking the response of different person. So there will be different response, right? So as per the response, I'm grouping the people. Suppose I'm asking you at what time, in which month you do shop a lot. Okay. Are you getting my point?
Bro, I have one doubt in the previous SPSS factor analysis.
I'll come to that later.
Okay.
I'll come to that later. I've already closed that one. So I'll come to that. So in cluster, what I was saying, in a particular question, I'm asking different person for the responses. So my question is that at what time in a year, you do shop a lot. Your shopping shopping expense is lot in which month.
Okay. So according to similar kind of response, we make the groups.
Yes.
Yep.
So suppose for a South Indian people, they might shop at the time of Pongal. Okay. Suppose a North Indian guy, they might shop at the time of Diwali. Are you getting my point? So for a particular company who is suppose a particular company of let's say Peter England, so they can segment as per the behavior of the customer. Like the South Indian guy will shop at the time of January or February, and North Indian guy will shop at the time of Diwali, means October or November. Okay. So as per that segment, they will take marketing decisions. They're actually grouping the member, right? Right? Clear everyone this example? No offense
Clear.
to anyone. Clear everyone the example. So cluster analysis is a class of technique which classify the object on or cases into relatively homogeneous group. So homogeneous group means what?
Similar group, similar kind.
Yes. Similar kind of group. So we are taking those persons only who actually shop from Peter England, right? So object in each cluster tend to be similar to each other and dissimilar to the object in other cluster. So this is the first cluster. So this is similar, right? Where suppose this cluster actually shows uh, those person who actually do the shopping on the time of January and February. And this one is October, November. This is a similar kind, right? Everyone is shopping. Everyone shop on the time of January and February. So this is what the meaning of this one. Okay. The next one, there are several methods of cluster analysis process. One is hierarchical clustering, and another one is non-hierarchical, and another one is other type. So the other is only one, that is two-step clustering method. So we generally do with the hierarchical clustering method, and come to that end. Hierarchical clustering, yes. So hierarchical clustering means what? You might be heard about these two terms, hierarchical clustering and the k-mean clustering. Heard this one?
Which one?
Hierarchical clustering and k-mean clustering.
Hierarchical. We heard.
Dendrogram one, this one you heard, yeah? This one you know.
This one is done
What
in
is,
our class.
yes, so in hierarchical, this is a hierarchical clustering actually. In hierarchical clustering actually, we feed the data in the system, and we generally don't know how many cluster will be there. Okay, at the time of analysis, we don't know how many cluster will be there. But in k-mean clustering, we actually want the particular data set to be in a particular number of cluster. Similar to that one, exploratory, factoriness, and confirmatory. Okay. So while running the hierarchical cluster analysis, we don't know how many number of clusters will be there. So my analysis process of the software will tell me after the analysis has been done that there is this many number of clusters. And in k-mean clustering, suppose there are 15 responses or 20 responses, and I want from 20 responses, I want to group all the 20 number of people. 20 responses means what? 20 number of people will be there, respondent. So I want this 20 number of respondent to be grouped into 3, suppose. So I'm already feeding into a system that I want 3 cluster. Okay. There is another rule. Whenever you are doing the k-mean clustering, the cluster number always should be greater than or equal to 2. There should be minimum 2 cluster. Otherwise, there is no use of running the cluster analysis. Minimum 2 groups should be there, right? Otherwise, what is the use of a cluster analysis? Got it?
Okay.
Yeah. So in the question, like last year, what I we had, there is one table given for all the responses or all the all the respondents. There will be a semi-partial R square. Have you heard this term, semi-partial R square? So that is actually SAS output. So the SPSS output actually, it's not. I'm not getting the semi-partial R square from SPSS output. And I don't have the questions right now. I'm not getting the question. So there will be semi-partial R square. So I'm telling you the logic. If you want to write it, you can write. They will ask you from semi-partial R square table. They will ask you to calculate how many number of cluster will be there. You have to calculate it manually.
Which table?
Semi-partial R square.
Semi-partial R square.
Yes. There will be like this item. Okay. Then semi-partial R square. Okay. For item 1, item 2, item 3, or response 1, response 2, response 3, there will be some semi-partial R square value. Okay. In point. Always it will be in point, suppose 1.5 like that. Okay. So from this particular this column only, you have to calculate how many number of cluster will be there in the analysis. Okay. So better you write the logic. I'll tell you the logic how to calculate. Are you writing?
Yeah, yeah.
So suppose for item 2 and item 3, let it write in let it be 13, 11, 12, 13. Okay. Suppose there are 13 responses. Okay. So from 13, the 13th number of responses, you have to calculate this the semi-partial R square of 12 response and the 13 response. You have to subtract the value. Got it?
I don't know, but this thing is like a bound.
I don't have the problem actually. I am not getting that problem, so really difficult. Okay, let's forget that one. I got the problem. I'll tell that in the lecture session. Or else, if you are understanding the logic, then I can tell you. So there will be a particular value for semi-partial R square for 13th responses and 12 responses, 11 responses. For every responses, there will be semi-partial R square value. So you have to calculate, just subtract the value from 13th value to 12th value. Means 13th there will be some value minus 12th value. You'll be getting some value, right? Then above what you have to do? 12th minus 11th. Okay, then 12, then 11th minus 10th. Like that, you have to keep on doing till first one. Are you getting?
What does we call this? Like we are going in the reverse direction. There is a term or something.
No, there is no time. That is for calculating the how many number of cluster will be there in the analysis.
Okay. So always we have to go to reverse and just keep on
Yes,
subtracting.
from bottom only you have to calculate 13 minus 12, then 12 minus 11, then 11 minus 10, like that.
We can say it is an opposite of like what we do in cumulative, in opposite direction and subtracting
Don't
the
don't
thing.
come don't complicate it. Don't complicate it. Just simply you have to subtract it. 13 minus 12. The semi-partial R square value of 13 minus semi-partial R square value of 12. First one. Next, semi-partial R square value of 12 minus semi-partial R square value of 11. Like that you have to do. And when you find that particular value, sorry, let me complete, then I'll complete. So
Yeah, sure.
after the subtraction is done, whenever you are finding the subtraction value, okay, subtraction value is actually increasing. There you have to stop. Let me show it. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so the one suppose point randomly I'm putting some values. Okay, so in next step what I have to do, 0.519, 0.50519 minus 0.066. What value I'm getting?
minus 0.0141.
Yes. So to avoid this minus one, what I'll do, I'll just reverse it. So what I'll do equal to 0.066 minus 0.0519. I'll be always getting the positive value. Okay. This one I'm getting. Next step, what I'll do. First one, 6 minus 7 will I'll do 0.737 minus 0.066. Okay. Zero 7. Right. So this is what the, compared to the previous one, my last one is actually decreasing, right? And what I was talking about this one, when the value will be increasing, I'll stop there. The subtraction value, when it will increase, I'll stop there. So next one, what I'll do, minus equal to 0.1121 minus 0.73 0737. This is what it is increasing, right, compared to the previous one. Are you getting?
Yes.
This is increasing. Okay, so how many I'm getting? 3, right? How many number of cluster will be there? I'm increasing, so this value is actually increasing, so I'll stop here. I'll not go further. I'm getting my objective is fulfilled now. Okay, so how many number of number I'm getting? 3, right? So your number of cluster will be where you are stopping, from bottom where you are stopping. That many number of variables you are taking, just 3 plus 1. That will be your number of cluster, because what I was saying, the rule was that you always have to have two cluster, right? So one, so you already have. That is why I'm adding one. Cluster one is already you are having, right? The initial data what you have, that one I'm taking into consideration as a one group. So total I'm getting 3 plus 1. So here number of cluster is 4. Got it?
Sir,
If I had to stop here only, okay, if I had to stop here 0.077, so here I'm getting 2 plus 1. So number of cluster will be 3. Got it? This is one logic. How many number of cluster will be there? From semi-partial R square. Remember that one semi-partial R square solution, you can get that. And another one approach is the dendrogram. So this dendrogram will be given to you, and from here only you have to calculate that. Okay, got my point?
sir, hello.
Yeah.
Sir, can you this explain this previous slide? I have some doubt.
Which one you have doubt?
Yeah, sir. So I was telling that you are telling that we have to keep on subtracting the values as the bigger value indicates, right? So currently the value is 0.03. So you have considered it as a biggest value. So we do not have to subtract, I mean, forward process, right?
No.
So, but actually, when you will be keep on subtracting this 6 minus 5 and 5 minus 4, so there are the chances that it can become 0.4 also. So in that case also 0.4 is the biggest value. So how we
I'm
can
not
judge
saying
that?
that. I'm not saying that. My point is that you have to compare that. This is the previous one compared to this last two, which last two compared. This one is my second last. If I compare the second last and the last one, my second last value is actually decreasing. So that is not fulfilling my objective. Next is the second last and the third last. I'm comparing these two values. Comparing to the second last value, my third last value is actually increasing. So I am getting the logic now. My logic is that when the value is, the subtraction value will start increasing, I have to stop there only.
Okay, I mean we have to take consider previous value as a reference, and on that basis
Yes,
we have to identify, right? Okay,
yes.
fine, fine.
Another approach is that dendrogram approach. So in dendrogram, what this value actually is the semi-partial R square value. So I have to get the total value of semi-partial R square from the table, and suppose you are getting the semi-partial R square value as 10. Okay, summation of semi-partial R square. Then you have to draw one straight line from here, and you have to check how many this. So this one is how many horizontal line is actually cutting that vertical line. Are you getting? So you have to add the semi-partial R square value. How much you are getting the adding the semi-partial R square value from the table. From that value only. Suppose I am getting 10. I have to draw one vertical line. Okay. That vertical line actually cutting how many horizontal line here in the dendrogram. So here, if I draw here, how many horizontal line will be cut by that vertical line? 3, right? Here one, and here one. So there will be three. What to say? 3 cluster. Got it. Suppose my semi-partial R square value is 20, so I'm drawing the line here 20. Now how many lines they are cutting? The vertical and horizontal, intersecting 2 points, right? So there will be 2 cluster. Got it? Got it, everyone?
What is this below thing? 0, 5, 10, 15, 20?
Just semi-partial R square, the total value of semi-partial R square.
So they will ask like at the value of 5 of semi-partial square, how many clusters are there like this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Do you have any doubt?